Hi, and welcome to Cosmic Consciousness with Cassia. I'm an intuitive ascension-based astrologer, a tarot reader, and a healer, and it is my aim with this channel to help all of you through your awakening journey. I offer a whole variety of services. You can find those listed in the description box below. Absolutely reach out if you're interested in any of those things. I do energy healings. I do ascension-based astrology readings where we look at the planets that are transiting your chart and how that's affecting and impacting your ascension process at this time. I also do personal readings, and there's all different combinations of those things. Basically, we just work to combine whatever is best for you and is going to be most beneficial for you and what it is that you're dealing with and going through at this time. So with no further ado, today we are going to be talking about Mars in Aries. And I have just some notes here as far as the dates go because my brain doesn't necessarily always contain all of those figures very well. So this is, when we're talking about this, what we mean right now is that all of the planets transit through the astrological chart, right? So they move through into each of the different signs. And the planet itself has a predominant energy. And then it expresses that energy through the filter or the lens of the sign that it's presently in. And so, for example, when you look at your own natal chart and you tell people, I'm a Cancer, right? What most people are meaning when they say that is that the sun was in the sign of Cancer when I was born. And so that puts a certain flavor to the sun, right? To the way that you express your consciousness, to the way that you understand yourself and you move in the world, right? And so this happens with each of the planets. Each of the planets was in a specific sign when you were born. And the planets today are also in a specific sign. If anybody were born today, they would be born with their Mars in the sign of Aries. And so when we talk about transiting planets, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about where the planets are currently in their cycle, the signs that they're in, and sort of how they're expressing their energy through that sign. And whatever sign the planets are currently in is going to affect us, and it's going to affect us a lot as far as our ascension process goes. There's a lot we can learn about the ascension process if we understand where the planets are and the dynamics between them and how they're interacting. And we can take this a step deeper if we look at where they're found in our natal chart. That will show us a lot of different things, and the way that they're making relationships to other planets in your chart will show you things as well. And so if you are interested in finding out more about that, you can go to a website such as astro.com, put in your birth information, and it will show you a chart so that you'll be able to see. Then you look and you just find where Mars is right now. So Mars is, I believe it's right around 9 degrees of Aries or so right at this current moment when I'm filming this video. So you would find that place in your chart and you would be able to see the house that it was in and all of the different things. But you could also book a reading with me and we can go over a lot of this information as well if that's something that you're interested in. But we're going to be talking right now about the collective impact as far as the ascension process goes of Mars moving into the sign of Aries. Now, Mars moved into the sign of Aries on June 28th, and it will remain in Aries until January 7th. And this is pretty interesting because Mars typically does not remain in a sign for this long. The reason that Mars is going to be in Aries for longer than usual is because Mars is going to be going retrograde this year. He will join the whole symphony of planets that has or will still be going retrograde in 2020. And so, yeah, this is a big deal. This is sort of like the retrograde that closes out the retrograde season. Every other planet has already gone by this point, and Mars is kind of bringing up the rear. But by no means does that mean that the energy will not be impactful. Because Mars is in his home sign of Aries, this energy is going to be extremely dynamic, and we're going to be feeling and experiencing a lot from it. And so the Mars retrograde, which we'll do a video on as well, is going to happen September 11th through November 14th. And so that's going to be a period. So right now we're in this period where the energy is very external, right? Mars is going what we call direct right now, which just means from our view from Earth, it looks as if Mars is moving forward through the zodiac, right? And then he'll stop moving, which is what we call stationing. And then he'll begin his retrograde. And then he'll station at some point in his retrograde. He will station, what do we say, November 14th? So on November 13th, Mars will station and then begin moving direct again and retrace the period that he went over during the retrograde, which is what we call the shadow period, right? And so throughout this entire cycle, he's going to be in the sign of Aries. And so when the planet is moving direct, we have that energy that feels, it's very extroverted kind of energy. Things are happening externally, right? We're seeing a lot of external circumstances, a lot of external events. The energy is just moving outward. And when we go into a retrograde cycle, the energy moves more inward. So it's a change of perspective. It's a very internalized process where we're really looking deeply within ourselves, and we're examining how these energies and the effect that this planet has on us manifests in our lives, and we're getting that time to step back and sort of analyze and reconfigure things in our minds to get a different outlook, to get a different perspective. And then when the planet goes direct again, to sort of put together those two different perspectives from the two different cycles that the planet goes through, and maybe come out with a whole new vision and a whole new understanding of ourselves and our lives and the aspects that these planets represent within ourselves and our lives. So right now I'm feeling as though we're kind of being set up for the Mars retrograde. So whatever themes are coming up for you right now regarding the stuff that we're going to be talking about during this video, that's the kind of stuff that then is going to be reevaluated during the retrograde period. So it's really important to pay attention to what's going on in your life right now, to pay attention to the things that are being brought up by this transit of Mars in Aries. And so we'll talk a little bit about the energy of Mars. And when we talk about the energy of Mars, we're talking about the energy of Aries, because Mars is the planet that rules Aries. That's why this is such a strong transit, is because Mars is in his home sign. Now, the home sign of a planet isn't necessarily the sign that it expresses itself the best in. That would be the sign that it's exalted in. So it's when a planet's in its own energy, it's very intense, because there's the exalted planet refines the energy a little more, where when a planet is in the sign that it rules, it's just 100% that energy, right? So when we're talking about Mars, when we're talking about Aries, it's that very bold energy, right? That sometimes a little bit reckless kind of energy, like Aries, Mars, right? It's that energy that acts first and thinks later. So that's something that we really want to be careful of during this time. Is we're going to be feeling, there's going to be a part of us that's feeling a little bit reckless, a little bit bolder than usual, that really is stepping into that energy. And that's good, because that's an energy that we've been being asked to step into all throughout 2020, is that energy of like who we really are and really expressing that. And so we're going to have a lot of stuff coming up around that. Mars is the planet that represents our passion, right? It's our drive. It's the way that we get things done, how we exert our will in the world, right? Mars is the sign or the planet that represents the will. And so we're going to be looking at aspects around that, right? So the sign of Aries, the highest evolutionary impulse of Aries is to develop courage. And so when we think about Aries, we think about that big, bold courage, right? But that doesn't mean that Aries always feels that way. That means that is what Aries is being asked to step into. Aries may be a little bit of that fire, maybe a little bit, is a lot of that firecracker energy, right? That's ready to go off at a moment's notice, that really will sort of kind of plow ahead. Aries is very much, it's the first sign in the zodiac, right? It's the initiator. It's a cardinal fire sign. It's that first spark of identity, that first spark of who we are when we enter this world, is like that energy of Aries, right? So it's very much a sign that is rooted in the self, in knowing the self, in fulfilling the desires and the needs of the self. And that's why sometimes Aries energy can come off as a little bit self-centered, right? Because it's very much about seeking what resonates with the self. What do I want? What do I need? And so for a lot of us, this is going to be really helpful. Those of us who haven't been able to assert that very well are going to be getting a little burst of energy that's going to allow us to do that. Something really interesting that's happening with this transit of Mars is the fact that within, I believe it was on July 5th, so just a few days after Mars entered Aries, that Mars came into conjunction with Chiron. And so Chiron, we talk about a lot. Chiron is the wounded healer, right? So Chiron represents our deepest wounds. It represents our greatest potential when we can rise above those wounds, when we can heal those wounds, and then be able to share that knowledge and that healing with the world. So it's our greatest potential when we move through our greatest trauma. And so anywhere that we find Chiron in our chart is going to be an area throughout our lives where we're going to undergo intense healing. And when it shows up and it aspects other planets, we can expect intense healing in those areas. And so Mars will be conjunct within 5 degrees of Chiron until I believe it's the 23rd. I have to check here again for the exact dates here. The 24th. Yep, from the 5th to the 24th, they'll be in conjunction within 5 degrees of each other. And they'll be in exact conjunction, meaning they're exactly lined up with each other on the 13th and the 14th of this month. So that's in a few days. So that's when we're going to feel the energy the most strongly. But the fact that we have this powerful conjunction going on at the beginning of this Mars transit in Aries, to me speaks volumes about some of the aspects that we're going to be feeling and experiencing during this transit. I think that really sets the stage for what we're going to be feeling. So it's going to be a lot of wounds that we're healing around our masculine energy, because Mars represents masculine energy in its rawest and purest form, right? So we're going to be healing wounds around that. We're going to be healing wounds around the ways that we express ourselves or feel able to express ourselves in the world and go after what we want. This is going to be a time where we're feeling very passionate, right? We're feeling very driven. Our life purpose we've been slowly but surely through this process of this entire year of 2020, this 2020 portal, if you will. This entire year feels like a portal to me. We discussed that in the live that I did the other night on Intuitive Insights, which is my collaborative channel that I do with my friend Kayla. I definitely encourage you guys to check that out as well. Intuitive Insights with Kayla and Cassia. And so, yeah, we were discussing how 2020 in and of itself feels like a portal, right? And so that's sort of one of the energies that we've been stepping into with this portal. And now I totally forgot what the energy was that I was even talking about. Oh yes, reclaiming ourselves, reclaiming our power, discovering our life purpose, right? And our lives have many purposes, and that shifts and changes as we change, right? And we're always digging into a deeper unfoldment of our purpose. But really, what is my purpose right now? For those of us who haven't known, we're really wanting to find that out. And for those of us who do know, we're really wanting to go after that, and we're really wanting to accomplish that. So any wounds, either from past lives or this present lifetime, that are sort of standing in the way or have prevented us from doing that, are going to come up to us to be healed. That's going to be revealed to us. And our masculine energy in general is getting a major overhaul during this entire transit, including this retrograde period, right? And so we're feeling and experiencing that, and we're undergoing this deep healing of our masculine energy, of the ways that we assert ourselves or don't assert ourselves in the world, right? Because our masculine energy can come off when it's distorted in many different ways. And I say because we all have a masculine and a feminine essence and energy within us. And part of our journey is the balancing of those two energies, so they complement each other and feed off of each other. That's when we're at our most dynamic, at our most creative. That's when we are the fully realized versions of ourselves, is when those energies are in harmony, right? So whether our gender is male or female, or however fluid. Like, this isn't about that. This is about those two aspects of our energy and how they interact and intersect with each other, right? And so we're healing our divine masculine energy. We're really yes. So that can look like a couple different things. Sometimes when our masculine energy is distorted, we're not able to stand up for ourselves. We're not able to assert ourselves. We're not able to take constructive, decisive action in the world. And sometimes we go on the other end of that and we're a little bit too overbearing. We're bowling over people. We're feeling as though we have to exert power and control over people to dominate people in order to feel secure. That's another way that our masculine energy becomes distorted. And so when our masculine energy is balanced, we're compassionate, we're strong, but we don't feel the need to be in your face about our strength. It's that quiet, sure kind of strength, right? And it's that decisive action that comes from a level place, right? It's not something that's triggered by outside circumstances. We have that balance within us that allows us to think clearly and concisely and to act from that place of clarity and wisdom, right? And so that's sort of what we're learning. And anything that prevents us from being able to do that and express our masculine energy in that way is being brought to the surface. And so this can feel intense, right? Like when Chiron comes in and facilitates this kind of healing, in order for our wounds to be healed, we first have to understand that they exist. So it's sort of like if we put a band-aid on something and just hoped it was going to heal, but never took care of it, never took the steps to actually help it to heal, we don't know what's going on under there until it makes us really sick, right? Like it could be that wound could be starting to fester, starting to get infected, but we don't really know until it gets to the point where we need really intensive help. At first, we're not sure until we peel off that Band-Aid and we see. And if we're not willing to do that ourselves, and it has gotten to that point of infection, that's going to be coming up now. We're going to be feeling that. We're going to be seeing, feeling, and understanding how that is making us sick. And we're going to be given the chance to heal that. And so that's really, really beautiful. It's just the connection that we're going to have to our path, to our purpose, to that part of ourselves that really shows up in the world and shows up strongly, to that courage. We're going to be asked to dig deep, and we're going to any areas where we've been afraid, where we've been allowing ourselves to operate and make decisions based on fear. That is going to be shown to us as well. The sign of Aries, because of its evolutionary need to develop this courage, right? And to have their actions match their desires. Because of this, Aries is constantly just confronted with situations that force it to step up and to move through their fear, right? There's a lot of conflict that gets presented to Aries. People look at Aries as the sign of conflict. Sorry, it's the way I sit here. I have to adjust every once in a while, right? I'm feeling some really interesting sensations in my right foot right now. I don't know what's going on with that. Just the way the energies move, right? But yeah, so Aries will be presented. People look at Aries as a sign that likes to start fights or can be like that, that kind of energy. Sometimes that's the stereotype of Aries, right? But it's more like Aries is presented with conflict, and then that fight or flight response is triggered. And so Aries, the evolutionary imperative of Aries is to fight. And that doesn't mean like fist fights and stuff like that. That means to stand up for themselves, to stand their ground, to walk through their fears. And so we're going to be presented with opportunities to do that. And as I said, if you look in your natal chart, you can see the areas of your life where this is going to be most prevalent, but it's going to be prevalent for all of us in one area or another. And so we're going to be probably presented with those situations that are going to show us, reveal to us these wounds, reveal to us these opportunities, maybe places where we are ready to be courageous, where we weren't before. And then when Mars goes retrograde, we're going to have this introspective time to really kind of sift through those experiences. And then when Mars goes direct again, I'm imagining that we're going to have other situations come up that are going to allow us to put into practice what we've decided resonates with us, how we've decided we want to be. Like if there was a situation that maybe we didn't handle so well the first time around, we're going to be presented with an opportunity to then do what we wanted, what we would have done. Right? So it's this growth process. It's this constant evolution that we're going through. And so this, from an ascension point of view, is so important because we have to learn how to stand in our power. We've been learning that throughout this entire year of 2020, and it's just, this is really like, it's perfect that this is happening near the end of 2020, right? Because it's like, we've learned so much about ourselves. We've grown so much. We've started to learn how to express our authenticity, how to find our voice. And now all of that is being put to the test with this transit of Mars in Aries. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much all I want to say about that. You know, like Mars, Aries, Mars is the warrior planet, right? And Aries is the warrior energy. So like our inner warrior, our inner spiritual warrior is being called to action right now. And so we're going to feel that. We might not even feel it in these intense outer circumstances. We may just be feeling it right now as like, and now it's interesting, my left foot is like pulsing and vibrating. We might be experiencing this more as just like a yearning or a calling. Like we feel something calling to us. We feel a yearning within ourselves. We feel these avenues that we want to explore, right? And where we want to make an impact in the world. We're starting to see the areas where we want to make an impact in the world. And so it may not be something so dramatic. It may just be this calling and this yearning and these deeper realizations about where it is that you want to go, how it is that you might be able to get there, and what it is that has been holding you back from doing that. And without further ado, we're going to pull some cards. We're going to pull from the Black Moon Astrology cards first. I absolutely love this deck. It's so much fun. If you guys enjoy astrology and you know a little bit about astrology, or even if you don't, this is a great way to learn because you learn so much about the different signs and the houses and the planets and some of the astrological events just by playing with these cards, right? And if you do have a working knowledge of astrology, then you will probably absolutely love these. I think they did a great job, including, you know, they've got the nodes in here. They've got some eclipse cards. They've got the Saturn return. They have just the Mercury retrograde. They don't have any of the other retrogrades. But I mean, really, because of how many times Mercury goes retrograde during a season, it sort of sets the precedent. Like we can understand any of the other retrogrades by understanding Mercury retrograde and what's happening there. And if you guys are interested in that, also check out Intuitive Insights. I did a video on Mercury. We always do videos on the Mercury retrogrades. And yes, I would definitely recommend that. So we're talking right now about Mars and Aries. Mars and Aries. And this card just keeps coming up. It's so interesting. Yod, the Destiny card. And so this is kind of what we've been talking about, right? So this is those climactic events, those events that make us or break us, those events that lead us toward our destiny by challenging us, by provoking us, by forcing us to really dig deep and find out what it is that we're made of. And so this is the energy that we're moving into. And as we move into this energy and these situations, internally or externally, like trigger us and cause us to grow and cause us to call on our inner warrior, right? It's going to bring us closer to our destiny. And we have Venus here, love. And so that's interesting. During this Mars and Aries in transit for some of you, this may also, you know, because we're talking about Mars is our passion, right? So Mars also represents our sexuality. That's another aspect that may be coming up for review. How we utilize our sexuality, where we may have used our sexuality as a weapon in the past, where we feel that that was weaponized against us. All of these are issues that are going to be coming up as well. And just the way that this plays out in relationships, the way that we exert our will in relationships for good or ill, right? Maybe for some people, this is going to show you areas of your life where you wish that you had been able to put more passion and will towards this, or areas where you need to maybe release control of this in order for new love to come in. I feel like this cleansing and purging that we're doing of the masculine energy is really going to open us up to experience love on a much grander level without a lot of those old wounds sort of getting in the way, right? It's that interplay of masculine and feminine energies and the way that they relate to each other and the way that we're clearing out a lot of those templates right now. And it's making the way for just, yeah, I'm feeling like some interesting things coming up for people in their relationships, not just their love relationships, but all of their relationships, right? But definitely a reset and an understanding of that. And yeah, I mean, I'm feeling for some of you, this is really interesting. I don't know where this necessarily lines up, right? But it's like what's in the cards. So we have love, lunar eclipse, change, and air element communicating. So I feel for some of you, if there are destined and fated connections that you have, whether this be like twin flame, soulmate connections, what have you, partnerships, alliances, but definitely with the soulmate connections, right? Like that are destined and fated, there is going to be major shift and a major change in those relationships as a result of this purification of this masculine energy, of the healing of all of these wounds. I'm feeling for some people like wounds as far as their father figure goes, or being a father figure, anything around that energy may be healed as well. But just this cleansing of the masculine energy is going to lead to massive changes and communication where perhaps there wasn't communication before. So that's really interesting. And yeah, I mean, we see how even regardless of our gender, right? Like our wounded masculine energy as well as our wounded feminine energy, when one of those aspects is wounded within us, it severely impacts our ability to be in a loving relationship, because we're operating from that distorted place, right? We're operating, when the masculine energy is distorted, from that place of ownership, from that place of control, of domination. And so a lot of those fiery, passionate, like jealousy, like a lot of those shadow energies, right? And so a lot of that is going to be revealed, and where those wounds come from, right? And for the feminine, this is going to be a healing of her own divine masculine energy, right? So this also a healing of the feminine's relationship to masculine energy, which I think is really going to move her into that heart space, like both both the masculine and the feminine's relationship to their masculine energy, right? So anywhere where the masculine energy seemed threatening before, where it seemed cold, where it seemed all those things that we were talking about, just understanding why that is the perception and healing that perception. And healing that from an outward perspective helps to heal that internally within us. Because when we feel a certain way about the masculine energy we perceive in the world, we unconsciously feel that way about our own masculine energy, and that cripples an aspect of ourselves. So it's a healing of that that's going on. And just huge changes that are coming out of this, huge changes when it comes to love and relationships and understanding the dynamics in those, and just huge destined changes when it comes to all aspects of our lives and moving forward in our lives with our purpose and with our passion and with our path. And just, yeah, we have another eclipse coming up in November, I believe. We had just the big series of 3 eclipses, and there are also videos about that on Intuitive Insights as well. On this channel I'm going to be doing a lot more of this astrology stuff, but that was that on that original channel that Kayla and I began together. There's a lot of videos that I'm probably going to reference that I did on there that you guys will want to check out. And sometimes I may link some of those for you guys. Like I said, that channel is absolutely amazing as well. And yeah, definitely give it a look. But yeah, we had that big series of 3 eclipses that was absolutely huge. And now we're going to have, I believe we have actually 2 more this year. One in December and one, I want to say one in November and one in December. I did not do the research on that yet, so don't 100% quote me on that, but they're coming up, right? And so just changes possibly around that time as well. Around that, and yeah, just a lot of communication, a lot of, the air element is also about the mind, right? So a lot of shifts in perspective and understanding. and in the ways that we communicate that understanding with each other, and just that real desire to reach out and to communicate the things that need to be communicated, and just a deeper level of compassion and love. Yeah, I'm just feeling that. And also with the Venus is a planet of creativity. So I'm feeling that as a lot of inspired creativity as well. And just breaking through a lot of those barriers and a lot of those wounds that prevent us from expressing our full creative potential, right? Especially when we have Venus paired with Mars, right? So Venus is the planet to me that represents, that is the feminine energy, like the ultimate feminine energy, right? And Mars is that masculine energy. So it's that masculine and that feminine again, right? And it's also that passion. So we're seeing a lot of that passion just really like unfolding as we unlock these aspects of ourselves that were buried under these wounds, like our ability to express ourselves creatively, like really soaring as well. And we're healing this, remember, not just in this lifetime, but for past lifetimes as well. We're healing a lot of past lifetime energy right now. So that's just something to understand and something to really be aware of as we're doing this, as stuff is coming up. And we're healing not only our past lifetimes, but we're healing for our entire ancestral line. We're healing, some of this healing that some of us are doing is for the entire collective as a whole. And I mean, any healing that we do, like, there is no separation, right? So the healing we're doing for the collective is for ourselves and vice versa. Like, we are part of that collective, and as we heal, the entire collective heals. So that's really what we mean when we say we're doing it for the collective, right? Like, we do this all together. We are all one, and we are all in this beautiful journey together. Any other cards for Mars and Aries transit? Mars and Aries. Mars and Aries. It's a lot of cards. Okay. So you have the 7th house, partnerships. So yep, this goes right in line with that relationship energy that we were feeling. This is also partnerships and alliances when it comes to businesses and different things like that, collaborations, just really linking up with like-minded individuals who have the same passion and the same purpose. And as I said, passion, I looked down at the fire element card, right? Who have the same passion and desire for whatever, who are trying to leave the same mark on the world that you're trying to leave on the world, essentially. And then we have Black Moon Lilith mystery. And so this is the shadow. This is a card that represents the shadow, especially the shadow of the feminine and the more repressed aspects of the feminine energy, right? So as we're healing our masculine energy, that masculine energy is strengthening and supporting the feminine energy and allowing her to be seen and allowing her to be heard, giving her the confidence to do that. We're seeing how the masculine and the feminine energies can complement each other. You know, Black Moon Lilith felt very betrayed, right? And so she represents those aspects of the feminine that have been subdued and repressed, and she represents that rebellious feminine energy, right? So it's like a very Mars-like feminine energy that Black Moon Lilith possesses. So we're really looking at these shadow aspects of how our masculine energy has hindered our feminine energy and how now it's ready to support it. And we're examining those deeper, darker aspects of our shadow. I feel that mystery, the mystery word, very, very strongly with this energy, as it's just so many things that were mysterious to us are being brought up to the surface so that we can understand them a little bit better, right? But there's going to be a lot of things that we didn't expect coming. There's going to be a lot of things that we did not expect, a lot of plot twists, I think. It's going to be a fascinating time. This is going to be a time where people may think one thing and say another. They may say one thing and do another. It's just everyone's trying to find their footing and trying to find their place and trying to find their own empowerment, and just also just shifting and changing throughout all of this, you know, as we're all growing. So it's just, there's a lot of uncertainty and unpredictability in the air is what I'm feeling. And then we have that Gemini energy, I think. So communication again, right? Communicating different perspectives, right? Curiosity. Yeah, a lot of that energy, but definitely big on the communicating energy. There's going to be a lot of communication that is going to need to be had with people, and we're going to be refining and learning how to communicate in a constructive manner, right? Like how to have all this passion and have all this fire, but how to get our point across, how to get what we want without harming other people, without hurting other people, without bulldozing over other people, without compromising our own morals and our own values at the same time. And so now we're going to use the Moonology cards and just get a couple more cards from this. Mars and Aries. Guidance for Mars and Aries. Guidance for Mars and Aries. Okay. So we got a fiery climax approaches. So yeah, more of that intense fiery. This is the full moon in Aries card, right? So that intense fiery energy. Situations coming to a head. Situations where maybe we didn't speak our truth or stand our ground, that at this point it's our hand is going to be forced. Like we're not allowed to hold back. We're not allowed to anywhere where we've been ruled by fear, or where we've been maybe people pleasing, or we've been in situations that weren't conducive to our growth because we were afraid to step out on our own, or we were afraid to stand up, or we were afraid to leave whatever situation, to pursue the situation that really has meaning to us. Like those situations, whether externally or internally, will come to a climax. And then we have the answers you need are coming. Full moon in Gemini. So a lot of Gemini energy coming through for this as well. So it's that. And that, so I'm feeling that it's Gemini's a mutable air sign, right? So that really mutable, changeable energy, and a little bit of that duplicitous energy too, right? Like that's going to be the shadow side of Gemini, is that because they are the twins, right? So it's that duality in the personality. And so there can be, I am feeling a little bit of that energy with like, I almost said, and I love Geminis. I have a decent amount of Gemini in my chart. My sun is even cusping on Gemini, so I'm a Taurus, but I got a little bit of that Gemini flavor even in my sun. So I say all of this with absolute love, right? But I was thinking a little bit of that two-faced energy coming through, and then I saw the twins, the two faces is illustrated on the card. So yeah, there are going to be situations like we said, where people are saying one thing and doing another. And this is because that's a lesson that they're learning right now, is how to stand in their truth and integrity, and how to act on the things that they believe, the things that they feel. And so they're learning how to do that. They don't know how to do that just right yet, right? So like that Gemini energy can be very charming, right? So it's all about like, I'm going to say what you want to hear because it's easier, and because things will flow more smoothly if I do, or because I'm not ready to say what I really need to say. And so it's when I say duplicitous or like two-faced, it doesn't mean in a negative way. It just means that that's some of the stuff that we're working through, and some of the situations that we may find ourselves in, that we then have to go back and look at during the retrograde and get an opportunity to correct as Mars goes direct again. And so yeah, just a lot of that energy and having to deal with things surrounding with that I'm feeling. And yeah, the answers that you need are coming. So yeah, situations where it's that knowledge, that self-knowledge that we're gaining, that's going to help us to answer some of these questions about like, where do I belong? What is my purpose? Like, why am I here? Like these existential questions that aren't necessarily so much maybe Mars questions are coming up. And we're pondering those. We've got a lot of other stuff going on as well. We've got Mars making connections with Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn, who are all kind of doing a dance together right now, right? And just all of the questions that that's bringing up. And just, yeah, there's so many things that we've wondered about, and we haven't known like which path to choose, right? And so Mars and Aries are that decisive, definitive path of like, okay, we want this, we're going here, we're doing this. And so those answers, that clarity is coming. It just, the process of sifting through that may get a little messy for a little while. And then we have emotions are running high, supermoon. So yeah, very emotionally charged. You know, we said like cardinal fire energy, right? So it's highly emotional energy that we're seeing and experiencing during this transit when we tune into that aspect of what's going on in the stars. And so there are going to be a lot of emotions, a lot of situations that are bringing up emotions, and they're bringing those up and triggering those within you so that can help to reveal the wounds that we need to heal in ourselves, right? This journey is all about the healing of ourselves. Other people are I don't want to say are simply there, but other people are put there to trigger us, to make us look at ourselves, to really reflect to us externally what's happening and going on inside internally. So it's really helpful to always look at people in situations like that. And that's how we experience this healing, right? We have balsamic moon, a time for healing. And so, yeah, and expect powerful change. So a lot of deep-seated wounds being healed right now. A lot of situations that are instigating this process, triggering us so that we can figure out and see and understand the things that are ready to be healed, and then being able to heal those things and the powerful changes that will come as a result of doing that. And this is the new moon eclipse card as well. So that's really interesting because we were talking about how I'm feeling that eclipse that's happening in the fall, and I want to say November or somewhere around there, being another very powerful eclipse for us. And there'll be, of course, a video on that as we get much closer to that as well. And then take time to breathe out, disseminating moon. Always, this is advice that we get a lot. It's so important to do. Just really, even just if we take it back to the basics of like when we're getting really amped up and really heated, just how breathing deeply can help to calm us, right? So just always taking it back to that. Just remember to breathe and just allowing ourselves, giving others around us a chance to breathe as well. That's going to be really important because you have to remember, it's not just us that are going through this, it's the other people in our lives as well. And so our aggression, like we're healing wounds around our aggression, right? And how we express that, right? How to express anger in a constructive way, all these different things. And other people are learning that too. Other people are triggered too. Other people's wounds are coming up to be healed and revealed, right? And just as other people may be that catalyst or that trigger for us that causes us to have to examine some of our wounds, we may be that person for them too. And we may not even realize how or why it is that we are that trigger for them, because we may not understand everything, all of the wounds that they're healing. Some of those they may not even understand because it's not even from this lifetime, right? It may be from their ancestral lineage. So it's just really important to give other people the time to breathe out and to take that time to breathe out for ourselves too. And this is perfect, look at the bigger picture. That bigger picture of the fact that we're all in this together, all healing and all growing and all trying to figure out, like, we're all just these beautifully broken people who were never really truly broken, but we were wounded a little bit. And so we're healing that, and we're coming back into our wholeness. We're coming back into our light. But that's a process, and we just have to be patient with ourselves and with each other during that process. And then also bring love into the situation. That's the best way to do it. Bring love into the situation, and then I love this too. What do you need to release? Yeah. And then playing off of that energy of being who we are and being that driving force that we want to be in the world, show the world the real you. And I believe that's full moon in Aquarius. All right, so, all right, what else are we going to do? I think we are going to get some guidance from the Ascended Masters. So this is the Keepers of the Light Oracle. And so what guidance do the Ascended Masters, the Keepers of the Light, have for us for this Mars and Aries transit? Mars and Aries. Oh, whoa, that kind of went flying there. Hold on. Be right back. All right. So we have the divine director, intervention, and purpose. Divine intervention is occurring. Know that you are being guided. Happiness is your purpose. And so what this is bringing up is just, and this has been going on for a while, right? Like there may be situations that are coming to a head and they're meant to teach you things and allow you to grow. But there's also intervention that's going to be continuing to occur during this time, just as it has been for a while, where things are being removed that are ready to be removed. And it's all about allowing those things, allowing those wounds to be removed and healed too, right? Like a lot of us, we get really attached to our trauma. We get really attached to the stories that we've told ourselves about who we are, about who other people are, about like who and what the world is. And so we're being challenged constantly throughout this time period, not just with Mars and Aries, but in general in this ascension process, in just everything, to let go of those old wounds, to let go of those old stories, and to really give ourselves the gift of allowing ourselves to move beyond that. And so it's just understanding and knowing that it's like the answers you need are coming, right? It's like divine intervention is happening. If you allow the universe to intercede on your behalf, it will. And so in situations, if you're feeling really lost, if you're trying to breathe, if you're trying to see the bigger picture and to understand where people are coming from and to understand what the hell all of this like madness means for you, and you're just getting really overwhelmed and you don't know how to handle situations, pray and ask for guidance. Pray and ask for guidance, and you will be shown a way forward. And things will be, like spirit will come in and adjust the things that need to be adjusted and help you to move the way that you need to move. Spirit will come in and move some of those mountains for you if you allow it to do so. So just to also allow that divine intervention as it is occurring. Yeah. You're being guided. Happiness is your purpose. Your fire, your passion, that is your purpose. Find that and all will be well. That is what's being revealed to us right now. Everything that we are not passionate about is going to be very clear to us during this period, and we're just not going to have the time and we're not going to have the patience for it. You know, like Aries is not known for its patience. Mars is not known for his patience. It's like, that's one thing that like we really want to be careful of too, is like, not like we talked about this, I think, at the beginning of the video, not being too reckless, right? As we're feeling this impatience, but really paying attention to the things that like we feel are not worthy of our time, because those are the things that are ready to be removed, and we can allow the divine to intercede on our behalf in those situations where we don't know how to go about doing that, but we know that we do need to release them. And then the card that went flying here was Paul the Venetian, experiencing grace. Share your gifts with grace. Waves of inspiration and love are coming to you. And I'm just thinking about that Venus card now, right? The inspiration, the love, all of that. Like we're really learning how to open up to that. And we're really learning how to counter these situations where we feel like we're so passionate and we're so driven, right? And so that aggression comes up within us, that raw masculine energy in that very primal state, right? And so countering that with love, countering all of these situations, every situation. I think we did get that card too that said bring love into the situation. Just really bringing that in and sort of allowing that love to be the lens through which we view everybody and every situation that we're encountering, through the way that we view ourselves, like really having that love and that compassion to ourselves, and just like allowing that love to come in. Like there are things that are being removed for some of you. Some of this divine intervention is occurring to allow you to love yourselves more fully and to be loved more fully by others. And there is so many, I'm seeing and feeling like these blocks just being dissolved, right? Or I guess with Mars, it would be more like being blasted out of the way. But I'm feeling that just, yeah, those are being healed. Those wounds are, like, we are capable of such intense healing when we allow ourselves to be healed. When we allow ourselves to be healed. And then Holy Amethyst, Divine Alchemy. Move beyond current challenges. Focus on what you desire. Right? Desire. That Mars energy, right? Focusing on what it is that we desire. Like allowing the healing that needs to happen as the things are revealed to us that we need to see, but also not sitting in that, right? Like Mars is not an energy. Aries is not an energy that just sits in their shit, right? They move forward. They are always they're moving forward. They're those warriors like we talked about, right? So it's just like not getting caught up in all of the chaos and any of the negativity, any of the challenging circumstances that may be coming up, seeing the bigger picture, acknowledging what you're feeling and what you're experiencing and what you're being shown, but then moving through that, right? That energy of that courage, developing that courage and just moving through that and focusing on this passion, like these waves of inspiration that are coming to you as you're seeing what it is you don't want and you're seeing also what it is that you want, moving towards what it is that you want. And if you're not able to do that physically, do that through your intention. Do that through your thoughts. Do that through, like, manifest the shit out of that by focusing your energy on what it is that you want to create. What are you choosing? What do you want to create? And really putting yourself energetically into the place where those things can come to you. And then we also have hope, love and acceptance. Love is yours. Recognize your divine worth. Choose loving thoughts. And I think we're going to leave that right here for today because that felt really good to me. So I love each and every single one of you. As I said, I offer a whole bunch of different services. Please reach out if you need some help. The energy healings can absolutely help with that. Just helping to release, helping us to gain clarity, helping us to sort of kind of regain that sense of serenity and that sense of peace, right? To reconnect to ourselves, to reconnect to the divine, all of that. So helpful. The personal readings, I do a combo where I do a personal reading and then we discuss the stuff that comes up in the reading. We set intentions, we maybe work through any blocks, and we do that energetically as well after the session with a targeted healing session. So that is down in the description box below. The Astrological Ascension readings, all of that different stuff. If you are interested in any of that, I am here to help. We are all on this journey together, and I've accumulated a little bit of wisdom, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And what I have accumulated, like, it's really, that is my passion, that is my purpose, talking about that Mars energy, right, is to share that and to help people through this journey by sharing what it is that I've come to understand so far and what it is that Spirit is wanting to share through me. So any other notices? Yeah, like this video if you liked it. If you want to catch more videos, please do subscribe. I post videos between here and Intuitive Insights, a lot of my astrology videos and different things like that, different ascension energy readings. A lot of this personal stuff that I do is going to be shifting more and more onto this channel, so I definitely encourage everyone who maybe is finding this from Intuitive Insights to subscribe to this as well. And for anyone who's finding this channel, to check out Intuitive Insights, because Kayla and I do some beautiful things together. You can absolutely donate to this channel. Sorry. You can donate to the channel if you like. There's a link down for that as well. And yeah, comment if this video resonated. Let me know what's going on with you guys. If you liked it, please like it. It helps these videos to get out to everyone who needs to hear them and will benefit from the messages coming through. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I hope you all have an absolutely dynamic Mars and Aries transit season. We are closing out 2020 with a bang, you guys, and 2021 is going to be even more phenomenal. I am so excited and I am so ready. That's that Mars and Aries energy talking right now. I will talk to you all soon.